Well, you thought it was Christmas. Christmas is coming early. Jay Lethal right here on High Spot Podcast, here for Ring of Honor Final Battle. Jay, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, and I just want to point out, don't fix it, but I just want to point out, because we can see our reflection here in the camera, I look so small compared to you guys, but that's because I'm further back and you guys are closer to the camera. So
Just wearing a tighter shirt.
I just want to let people at home know what's going on.
Put your
That's all.
shoulders back. There you go. There you go.
I know it. Look, compared to you guys, because you guys are, see, now I look huge, you know?
There you go. Well, I'll lean
It's a
back.
little camera trick.
It is. So, big matchup. Big matchup.
Yeah.
Big match with Marty Scurll tonight.
Big match.
I mean, this is probably one that, when you look at the card, this is going to be one that's probably will steal the show. And
I like to think that all my matches steal the show.
Yes. That's what you're going for, basically.
Right.
Yeah, but tonight, though, when you look at the card, you're like, this one is intriguing. I think this one's going to steal the show. Obviously, Jay Lethal and Marty Scurll, a lot of history there. Just talk about the dynamic as we, close the year, you and Marty, what it means to you to wrestle in New York City.
Well, New York City is always a special place for me because it feels like home. I was born a 15, 20-minute train ride away from here in Elizabeth, New Jersey. So whenever I wrestle in New York, it always feels like I'm home. You know what I mean? Also, I won the Ring of Honor World Championship in New York.
A lot of history.
Right.
Yeah.
And my parents were there, so Ring of Honor in New York, always a special time for me. Today it just happens that I'm wrestling Marty Scurll. Marty's a part of the Bullet Club, and the Bullet Club are like running wrestling right now. It's the hottest thing in wrestling. So I like to think that I always try and outperform everybody else on the show. With that said, I want to have the best match possible. I'm in there with someone from the Bullet Club, who's also Marty Scurll, who is a part of the hottest act in wrestling right now. So, we got the elements. I got the elements and all the ingredients for a really, really good showing tonight, and hopefully I deliver. That, as a wrestler, somebody asked me, are you nervous? And sure, but it's not normal nervous. I'm not nervous because, I have a match today, it's on pay-per-view. I'm nervous because I want to do a great job. I always want the fans leaving thinking, that Jay Lethal match was really good. So that's where my nerves are. So it's when I say I'm nervous, it's not like a normal, I'm nervous because we're on pay-per-view and everything.
It's a good nervous.
It's a great nervous. It's a great nervous. And we're live on pay-per-view, and everyone steps their game up on pay-per-view. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Now, you've accomplished so much in the Ring of Honor to your mainstay here. You've done everything on on Impact and in TNA. You've done so much.
Mm-hmm.
What more is there for you when you head into 2018? What do you feel like you've left undone?
You just hit a nerve there.
Have I left?
So this is a tough question for me. I get it all the time, and the problem is I have never ever set a goal for myself. Okay? So can you think of the odds of this? As a young kid, I say, one day I'm going to wrestle and beat Ric Flair live on pay-per-view. Then I get to do it? You got a better chance of winning the lottery. I've never set a goal saying I wanted to work with Hulk Hogan or Kevin Nash or wrestle Kurt Angle. I never set a goal saying that I wanted to be the world champion and the face of the company, of a company known around the world for its wrestling. I never set any of those goals. I just got lucky, and I was in the right place at the right time. And when I was in the right place at the right time, I had the skill to back it up. I like to think I did anyway. And I just got to do those things. So I'm afraid if I do announce some goals that I have, that I could be jinxing myself. But with that said, the only thing I feel like I really haven't done here in Ring of Honor yet is win the tag titles.
Okay.
So if I had to make a list of something else I want to accomplish here, I think on the top of that list might be winning the tag titles. Also becoming the 2-time Ring of Honor World Champion, but I kind of had that checked off because I was already World Champion once, so I need a tag partner.
Okay, so first of all, I respect.
Don't look at me, Jeff.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe a little too late for you, but I respect the fact that you don't set your goals, because what happens is if you set a deadline and you don't achieve it, you get down and you can easily get depressed.
Then you feel like you never made it,
exactly.
or you
so
like.
exactly. So definitely, that's awesome. Who would be your ideal tag team partner?
Ooh.
Maybe they're not in the Ring of Honor on a roster, but who would be somebody that you'd be looking for, or be your dream tag team partner?
That is a great question. You know, the problem with that question is
No, it's a great question, Jay. There's nothing wrong with that question.
everyone who comes to mind, I'm like, oh no, I think I'd much rather have a match against them. Like Chris Jericho. I mean, he'd be a great partner, but I think I'd much rather wrestle him.
I agree. I agree.
Like everybody that comes to mind, I go, oh, they'd be a good partner. But you know what? I probably could have a better match against them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just, all right, I'll say Jericho, Chris Jericho. And, you know, we win the tag titles, and then he turns on me, and then we feud. I'm writing it now.
Yeah.
How about that?
I was about to say you should do it before he does it to you, though. That's always best. Do unto others before they do unto you is what I've learned. But speaking of which, we thank you so much for your time here, Jay. Is that Jeff was talking about the New Year and resolutions and things like that. It's such a huge boom I feel in 2017, leading in 2018 for wrestling right now. There's so much content out there. There's so many places you can go, hone your craft, and kind of make a name for yourself in branding and using social media as a tool for that thing. Do you feel
Social media.
Do you feel right now that's kind of the way to go now for somebody like yourself and for somebody who's trying to be an up-and-comer in this business? It's vital to use social media to brand themselves outside of here.
100%. 100%. Like, I mean, even not for even if it wasn't, even if we're thinking outside of the box, outside of professional wrestling, you got to learn how to use social media no matter what you do. I mean, if I wanted to work at Coca-Cola, I think I still need to learn how to work that social media game. So yeah, it's a no-brainer. No-brainer.
And there are more places around you feel where talent can go and hone their craft as well?
That has always been a plus. The more places to go, the better for the wrestling business. The better the wrestling business does as a whole. So yeah, I am heartbroken to hear if any wrestling company doesn't work out or they're struggling. I want every wrestling company to do great so that wrestling as a whole can be better.
Jay, one final one for me is, I've asked everyone this. When did you get the itch to become a professional wrestler? When did you realize, like, okay, this is definitely something that I want to do? Is there a specific moment that you were like, wow, this I love this. This is going to be my future?
I've always loved wrestling. I remember playing with the wrestling toys. Sometimes I would play underneath the kitchen table while my mom cooked. I have that memory in my head. But I think it was, well, when I watched something having to do with wrestling, because I have a few moments I feel like. The biggest moment was when I went to a Jersey All Pro Wrestling show, and they said, hey, we're having a contest, and if you win the contest, we'll train you to be a wrestler for free. That right there, I was like, this is a sign.
Light bulb just hit.
Right. But as far as like watching a wrestling match or something, that moment came when I watched Bret Hart versus Rowdy Piper. Just the emotion. My favorite part, the part that really hooked me, was when Rowdy Piper, ref was down, Rowdy Piper has the ring bell because things that got a little heated between him and Bret Hart. Even with the promo before the match where Piper's poking fun at Bret Hart, but Bret's real serious, you know. Even that line about the bologna sandwiches. And
This is at the Pontiac Silverdome, which still has not gone down yet.
And Piper has the ring bell, and he raises it up because he's real pissed. He's going to hit Bret Hart, and the whole crowd is standing, and you hear Bobby the Brain Heenan saying, oh, look, every time I mention it, I get goosebumps. Bobby the Heenan's like, hit him, do it, give it to me, I'll do it, you know, and like he brought the bell back down, and you could see in his face that he didn't want to do it because his emotions were high, and he was upset at Bret, and he picked it up again, and they all stood up. Like, it was that moment right there I feel like that was like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Listen, we're gonna wrap up here. I know I kept saying last question, but you mentioned Bobby the Brain Heenan, right? And
Yes.
we mentioned the legends. Now you talk about having Ric Flair or Macho Man. Which one would you have leaned to when you do your impressions? Which one was your favorite one to do? Was it Macho or Ric Flair?
It was definitely, that's a great question. You know, I don't get that question often. People tell me what their favorite was. They rarely ask me what my favorite was, but my favorite, to be honest, was the Black Machismo.
Yeah.
It was doing the Macho Man. Doing the Macho Man one was easier for me. In fact, the Ric Flair one I didn't even know I could do until I had a little too much to drink on an overseas tour, which is ironic, right?
It's ironic, yeah.
But
You were Nation.
the Macho Man one was easier for me to do. I didn't have to elbow drop on the stage and hurt my elbow, or knee drop on the stage and hurt my knee. The Savage, I could just, And the Flair one, you have to yell. So there's a lot of days where I'd go home and I'd have no voice because I had to yell.
Hey,
Jay Lethal, thank you so
Good
much.
luck tonight, man.
problem.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you
Happy
very
holidays.
much.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.